If Caleb Williams presents the best chance for the Bears to win going forward, then we should absolutely draft Caleb Williams. And I think, depending on how interviews go at the combine this upcoming week, like that's going to tell Ryan Poles, general manager, quite a bit. I think it would be really hard for Ryan Poles, if he gets a good feel for Caleb Williams, to not draft him. Because if Williams goes somewhere else and ends up being the next Patrick Mahomes, I'm not sure Poles is getting another a GM job to pass up a talent like that. He was the director of college scouting, I believe, Ryan Poles was, in Kansas City when they drafted Mahomes that year. So he has a good eye for quarterbacks. So I trust whatever move he decides to make. In terms of where Justin Fields should go, I think Atlanta would be a good fit. They have the shortest odds. So that's looking like it could be a spot. He's from Atlanta. The Falcons have kind of made it clear that they're moving on from Desmond Ridder. They have a new offensive coordinator. They're kind of wanting a fresh start. And Fields would have, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, a ton of other weapons on offense that he could lean on. So he's not having to do it all. So I think Falcons could be a spot, and the Bears should, if they're going to move on from Fields, certainly trade him and try and get at least some stuff back for him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm excited to see what he does in a new environment, because we have seen flashes from Justin Fields. It's just, to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, it has to be more than just flashes. You have to be really consistent. Like that's what divides the good quarterbacks from like the great quarterbacks. Is the great quarterbacks have an entire game of flashes, and they're not making the mistakes, because sometimes Justin Fields can hang on to the ball for quite some time. Like we know he can scramble, but you also have to be able to know when to get it away and just throw it away. So we'll see if a change of scenery truly provides some spark for Justin Fields, because we know he certainly does have top end talent. I'm not so sure on Caleb Williams. Like the talent is certainly there, but there's been a couple of red flags. Like this segment, we've talked about a lot of red flags with dating and with men. But Caleb Williams, some of the instances over the past, college football season where it felt like it was all about him and his draft stock as opposed to the team, that rubbed me the wrong way. And plus, like, he didn't have a great season to end the year. And I feel like if you're going to draft somebody number one overall, you need to have no questions. Do you have any questions about Caleb Williams, or do you think he's a for sure thing?
I have some questions in terms of him playing in Chicago, like in the weather, in the Midwest. He's been a West Coast quarterback his whole life. His one game at Notre Dame where it was cold, it might have been rainy, maybe a little snowy.
It was raining.
Threw four picks in that game. So there are some concerns, in that aspect of, can he be a Midwest outdoor quarterback? Because it snows here, it's freezing here a lot of the times. That would be something that I'd want some answers to prior to drafting him. And then, your concerns are valid, Chelsa. I think the interview process over these next couple of weeks are going to tell the Bears a lot that they need to know about Williams.
Yeah, and the NFL draft process is certainly a process. I'm sure they will do their due diligence. I think I laid it out. I like Juan Soto to win MVP in the American League. Do you think that it's worth taking like one of the favorites? Because here's the other thing in the futures market. I don't love taking one of the favorites to start the season, just because a lot of things can go wrong. And we haven't even started spring training, because injuries happen in spring training. So I feel like this is one of those markets that maybe you wait till like a week before the season to bet on. I just feel like this time of year, like, I don't know, too many things can go wrong.
Well, and you may get off like a team as good as they are, the Yankees, as many stars as they have. Do they get off to a slow start? And if they drop, 5-10 games in the first couple months of the season, like those numbers are probably going to get a lot better on Judge and Soto. I was looking at maybe like a longer shot. Adley Rutschman, first year in the league last year, was so good. On the best team in the American League last year. I think if he can continue up his upward projection and kind of take another step this year, 25 to 1, I think you're getting some pretty good value there. I just have not been, Chelsa, like a futures better when it comes to baseball, because I'm just starting to bet on like the actual games. So strategy wise, in terms of like how to approach the futures market in each sport is a little different. So if you're saying maybe wait until after spring training, maybe wait until the start of the season, do you think you would get a better number on someone like Rutschman after the year gets going a little bit?
I don't think so. I don't think this is one of those markets that's going to be influenced by like a week. I'm just saying for injury's sake, because, big star players will go down in spring training. I don't think this number will change. And here's the difference about the MLB MVP as opposed to other leagues. It is not dependent on how your team does. Like, that's why Mike Trout and Ohtani has won this award because of their individual numbers. It is, even if the Yankees go on some stretch where they're losing a bunch of games, if Aaron Judge is still ripping home runs, he's still probably going to win MVP. It is not nearly as dependent on the team's success. I think the sabotage factor for Adley Rutschman is the fact that he only hit 20 home runs last year in 154 games. Because the thing about MVP, they love the sexy stat. And the sexy stat is home runs. Okay. So even if you're batting for average, like the only case that we had last year for it was the guy for the Marlins that was flirting with batting 400, Luis Ariz, I believe. There was a second there where I thought, okay, if he gets close to batting 400 for the season, he has a chance at winning MVP. But you've got to do like those kind of historic numbers to be in the conversation if you're not hitting the long ball. And that's why I think we have like a lot of Yankees in this list, because ballpark does matter. If you're playing at a field that is more home run friendly, you're going to hit more home runs. Even though with Aaron Judge, I don't think it matters. Like, he hits absolute bombs. The guy looks like an NFL tight end. But still, that definitely goes into it.
I still think they're a year or two away from really being able to make a push to win the East and make it to the NBA Finals. They have a lot of, I know Donovan Mitchell's been in the league a while, but it still feels like they have a lot of youth, and they just don't have that veteran leader that you need to win a championship. Like, if you look at the past couple teams that have won, all those teams have more of a veteran leader bringing them there. I'm not sure Donovan Mitchell is that type of leader. Evan Mobley's still young. Jared Allen isn't, in my estimate, like the most vocal leader on that team. Darius Garland, I don't think so. So they have a lot of great pieces. Their defense is unbelievable. Like, if they can hang their hat on that the rest of the season and into the postseason, like maybe they can make it to the conference finals. I just don't see them getting past a team like Boston or Milwaukee when it all comes down to it.
Yeah, and we had Gary Washburn on the show, who is, I believe, either the beat writer or just the national NBA reporter for the Boston Globe. And he was telling us that the team that presents the biggest challenge in the East to the Celtics is the Miami Heat. And if you want to believe him, the Heat are 18-1 to win the Eastern Conference, because right now, they've been, saddlebagging as, they did last year. And they're not looking like a team to beat, because right now they're sitting in the 7th spot, just sitting at 30-25. But we know all the Heat have to do is get in, and they will certainly cause some worry